Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hello, welcome. My name is Megan and I'm so excited today to finally be filming a video. I feel like it's been a while since I have been here on YouTube, especially with content like this more catered to fitness. So I'm very excited to get this video up and also help motivate you guys into the end of the year and starting the new one. Today's video is going to be all about how to navigate the end of year holiday season and stay consistent in your fitness journey as well. This is something that I feel a lot of people struggle with at this time of year. This is where a lot of people fall off, or where a lot of people decide they want to do a million things to get back on the wagon. And these tips I have are for you guys who are looking to keep a sustainable routine but also just still enjoy your life, enjoy the holidays. And these are things that I personally live by and have really been needing to remember to do in order to be successful in the end of the year. So without further ado, let's hop into my top 5 tips for staying consistent and keeping that motivation at the end of the year, even though it's super cold, it's getting dark early, holidays are upon us, and then after that it feels like a large window of doom before summer. My first tip is really catered around holidays, how I personally approach the holidays and how I like to approach the holidays for my clients as well, which is going to be all about those holiday events, parties, gatherings, celebrations, just doing more festive things in general. I always tell people to schedule around your events as opposed to staying super duper rigid with your fitness schedule and then not allowing yourself to enjoy everything else. For me, what I did is I sat down and I looked at my end of year calendar. So from, I want to say it was end of November into January, and I just looked at the calendar at a glance. I marked off when I'm traveling, marked off days when there's gatherings, things that's going on, and I sat down and I made a plan based on that. So I actually can pull it up. I have my iPad right here. I kind of looked at my year at a glance. I marked on the days that I would train, what exercise or muscle groups I would train, and then also marked off when I wouldn't be around. This was super good for me personally, just to kind of see things long term. I think sometimes when we look at, our fitness routines, we only look at the week that we're in, not the next week. But obviously being consistent with workouts is very important. And so for me, making sure that I was hitting those 3 days each week as I could was my top priority, whilst also allotting time for the other things that I had going on. So I highly recommend. It doesn't have to be obviously as rigid. This is just what works for me personally, but sitting down and just looking at your year in a glance in general and having an understanding of, here are all these things that I have going on. What does fitness look like for me in this phase of my life? How can I adjust my routine? Whether that's going from 4 days to 2, whether that's going from 2 days to 3 if you don't have a lot going on. So there's always ways to make adjustments or change your workout routines. Maybe you morph 2 of your leg days into a double leg day. There's ways to do things to cater your routine to your current life, and I think that's super important, as opposed to shaping your life around the gym, because it's just not how it should be. But with all this being said, I'm a big advocate obviously for flexibility and being gracious with yourself, but I do think you do have to set a plan or else you're just not gonna go. So for me, it was these specific days I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna get this done, whether that's before this thing or after this thing. You do need to set true intention on a specific day you're going to do things. Otherwise, and I've seen this before, people say, okay, I'm going to get to all my workouts this week, I'm just going to pick and choose, and then they save it all till the last day of the week, when you could have just spread it out naturally and it wouldn't have to be something that stresses you out or that you feel guilty about then needing to go. So that is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is more fun, and it's a tip that I always have, which is just to romanticize the gym and to genuinely just get excited about going. Every time I go to the gym, I lay out my gym fit the day before. I know what I'm wearing, which is just helpful in general, but I get up, make my bed, make a good breakfast, I get ready, I make myself feel good and presentable, and then that obviously translates into your confidence going to the gym, being in the gym. And I just feel like when you look cute and you feel cute, then everything kind of works out in a much better fashion than when you're already feeling like shit and then you just keep on with that trend. So as much as you can, just trying to genuinely enjoy getting ready for the gym and genuinely enjoy having a fun routine. The gym doesn't have to be this terrible part of your day where you have to go and you dread going and you just don't like it. I feel like the gym really changed for me when I would dress cute and I would get excited and I would get my pre-workout and I'd eat a good meal before and then I would plan for after. And I just think sometimes you have to view it differently, and the more that you view it positively, the more positive it gets for you. Which leads me to my next one, which is a little bit more on the mental health side of things. I feel like this time of year can become very depressing for a lot of people, with the sun setting earlier, it just not being as bright outside, bad weather. Sometimes the holidays are actually a hard season for a lot of people, depending on, you know, your family situation, your dynamics, your financial situation. And I think one of the biggest ways to combat difficulty with mental health is exercise and movement and doing things to get out of your own head. And for me, this is huge, to be able to move my body and prioritize, you know, that side of things, to not have to think about all the stressful things and sit and worry or lay in my bed and rot and just be sad. I think it's super important to, in some way, shape, or form, always be trying to move your body, whether that's a light walk, whether you're going on a treadmill, whether that's going on a run, going to the gym, Pilates class, a group class. It doesn't matter what form of exercise you do. It's just important to try to move your body a little bit. And I usually always feel better after a workout. I don't really think there's been a time where I felt worse, unless I like hurt myself or something. So I think it's super important to move your body, not only because you want to look a certain way or to burn calories or whatever it may be, but also for your mental well-being. Just staying consistent with something and being consistent with something at a really hard mental point will make it a lot easier for you when you're doing well mentally to keep going. So everything is training yourself through the tough times, as opposed to only showing up when things are perfect and ideal and good, because that's not 100% of the time for a lot of us. So I think the biggest thing is doing things that your greater self and your better self will be thankful that you did, because if you don't push through now, then later you're just gonna stay in the same place. My next thing is all about your routine. So it's less about being physically at the gym, but more about what you do and the little habits that make up your ability to have time for the gym and just to have time for other things as well. For me, I focus more on the nightly routine. The biggest things for me are making sure that I have my clothes set out for the next day, making sure I have my lunch packed for the next day, having my bag packed, having everything that I need set out and ready. The more prepared you are for the next day, the less terrible it is in the morning to get that day started, and the more time you have for the tiny little things. Constantly do little things to help future you, I think, is very, very important. And how that plays into fitness is making sure that you have your gym stuff with you so that you don't have to make a double trip, making sure that you have a time planned the next day of when you're gonna go. I actually got this app, not an ad or anything, I actually just saw it on YouTube, and it's called Structured, and it's super cool. You can plan your day. I have not planned today, but you can like plan your day by the minute, literally by the minute, adding tasks, and then you can add it as a widget on your home screen so that then you can go and click off those tasks. So I think that planning properly, so planning for yourself, setting down to-do lists, goals, having your stuff packed, all of that makes such a big difference if you feel overwhelmed by everything that has to get done, which typically in this time of year, it's very easy to be overwhelmed with things when it comes to holidays, gifts, cooking, groceries, work, school, life, the gym, everything. It's just a lot to carry and to remember in your brain. So writing it out and setting yourself up for success is super important. Last tip pertains to right now, but also really pertains to going into the new year. I feel like people constantly are overshooting, and I'm guilty of this too, where I know that I want to make a change. I know that I want things to be different. And so I overshoot what I can achieve and when I can achieve it. So for example, I've had months where I was traveling so much, so I was like, okay, I want to get back into a solid routine, and then I would say I want to do 7,000 steps a day, and I also want to walk a mile, and I also want to do my workout, and I want to read every night, and I want to drink a gallon of water, and I want to cook. And it was like, yes, all of that was great. I think all of it was very practical goals, like I could get it all done, but I think I was spreading myself too thin, and that's just what leads you to burnout. And I think it's better to focus on 3 goals and below, maybe 2 new daily goals, 1 new daily goal at a time, build those habits, and then continue. And I always tell this to my clients too, when they first start lifting, they want to focus on the food, on what supplements to buy, how many steps to get in a day. They want to think about different meals, meal plans, counting macros, all these different things. And as great as it is to be overly ambitious, it's also sometimes your biggest hindrance, because if you're not achieving all these things that you're setting out for yourself to do, then you're letting yourself down in a sense, and then you're regressing. So the biggest thing is setting realistic, time specific, smaller goals. So for me, I started with, okay, I want to make my bed every day, which was something that I didn't do, but then now it's a habit and it doesn't need to be something I need to remind myself to do. Now I can say, okay, now I want to not be on my phone in the morning, which I'm still working on. So there's ways to create and set goals that doesn't have to be so abrupt where then they're just feeling unattainable or extremely exhausting to do. So in the fitness sense, what I mean by that is if you haven't been working out for the past 4 months, don't think that you're going to get to a 5-day split and love it and be consistent every week. It just doesn't work like that all the time. I think being more gracious and realistic with yourself and setting a little bit more realistic goals, especially into the new year, is super important. We all have different 24 hours. Our days all look completely different. So what we're able to fit in and how we're able to fit it in is going to look different. Not to say that one person can't, one person can. It's just that you have to restructure things and look at things through your own lens versus feeling like, oh, since they work out at 5 in the morning every morning, I have to do that too. If that's not practical for you, then you can go at 11 at night. So just remembering that you don't have to set crazy standards for yourself. I really want you guys to feel motivated and know that you guys absolutely can achieve everything that you want to. Even if you're not happy with where you were at the end of this month, that's okay because you still have time to get back into it next year. And you just have to be gracious with yourself, but also be a little bit on yourself to ensure that you know that the goals won't get reached if you don't do the work to get to them. So yes, hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys very, very soon in another one. I love you guys so much. Bye.